Welcome to Module 1. In this first module you will learn the fundamental basis of the PLC used in TIA portal and ladder programming. If you are starting with automation, this video will give you a very good basis to understand how the systems work. Real industrialists. So hey, it's a PLC. A PLC or a controller. Programmable logic is an industrial astronautics equipment that is designed to automate machines and processes. Why were they invented? Since before, a lot of wiring and many equipment that the PLC can do internally, and obviously cables are still used, but a lot less than before because they replaced the old electrical relay systems. For example, allowing industrial processes to be controlled through programming. At the moment, PLCs are used by practically all modern industries, such as Araco and others. For example, a PLCs can control motors, sensors, valves, alarms and automatic sequences. Complete. What are the functions of a PLCs? Well, first you read the input signals, which are these are the inputs coming from sensors or buttons that are connected up here. Then it processes the control logic programmed by the engineer, and in this case you will be more forward. After that, activate the necessary laws as motors alone so that they will be connected here. These are the fundamental parts of a PLC. A PLC is composed of parts. For example, the CPU, which is the brain of the system, the digital inputs, where signals arrive. Descender, buttons. It also controls industrial devices. Also obviously the power supply, which in some cases in the PLCs in 1200 is 24 VDC. For example, the old PLS 400s receive about 230 BC. And you have to check carefully before making the connection with the power source if it receives 24 or 230. The communication modules begin that communicate to some by Ethernet and others by another means. To program in a PLC we use the ANT portal. In this case I put the photo from the portal ANT. Version 20 of Siemens industrial software used worldwide in automation. With this program we can program PLCs to create HMI screens, configure industrial networks, diagnose failures, and simulate processes. The HMI screens are these. I'm going to show you here so that you don't. These are the ones that operators use to control some specific process. Already, the entrances and exits, input and outputs are the basis of any automation system whose inputs receive signals from external devices. For example, push buttons, inductive sensors, photoelectric sensors, or limit switches. Digital outputs activate industrial equipment, such as motors, contactors, valves or alarms. The NEO and NCE contacts are used to program the logic. It's the same. In Module 2 I am going to, as it is said here, lateral programming, I am going to explain more in depth what this means. But now I'm going to explain more generally. The contact. Normally open or NEO, which is this, is activated when the signal is true. For example, when we press a start button, however, the NCE, the normally closed contact, it remains active as long as the signal is false, that is, as long as we do nothing. It will continue to be active. They are generally used in stop or emergency stop buttons, since when you press it, the process has to stop, not the other way around. Coils represent outputs or internal memories within the PLC. For example, if input Y0.0 is true, then output Q0.0 is activated. In this case, this could be a start button and this could be a motor. It is an exercise in very simple lateral logic. The objective, for example, is to start an engine. Using a start button and stopping it with a stop button, which would be this. This will be what it is. This would be called start, stop, and engine. When we press start, the motor is activated, and while there is no stop condition, the engine will continue running. When we press the in-depth in Module 2, the video is already uploaded here. There I am going to explain to you how the logic later in TIA Portal software. Well, the PLC works through extremely fast cycles. Quick ones that are called scan. Clear the road, run a program. This gives them output and repeats. This process obviously occurs continuously in milliseconds, allowing to control industrial systems basically in real time. The advantages of PLC, these are and offer multiple advantages. For example, it feasibly lifts the phase. Maintenance, flexible scheduling, less wiring, what we were talking about. Of rapid forecasting, industrial networks and automation, has already advanced. And now, as a summary. Finally, in this module, they learned what a PLC is, how the TIA portal works based on more. General, what are the inputs of the output, the contacts in EO and ENC, the coils and the logic? On slope, what you learn now is basically the basis to start programming the security system. Extract real, so don't skip the modules because each module is important for the next. It becomes even easier. If you like the content, subscribe to this YouTube channel. And in the next module they are going to learn what timers are, nailing logic, most advanced later. So, I'll wait for you in the following modules. Goodbye.